Hello, my fellow readers. It is I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the stories will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notification, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of the world, so please respect that. So, I got two stories today. The first story is Bad Luck of the Irish by Nizur Bisuch. That is such a weird name. I pretty much probably butchered it. It is a psych and luck of the Irish. That is such a weird. I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know how to say it. It's a weird 2001 Disney Channel movie about a boy who finds out he's like part leprechaun, and there's like a bunch of stuff with like an evil leprechaun and like trying to get his family's gold back, and like him turning into an actual leprechaun, and his grandfather getting like very, very old and stuff like that. But the reason why these two stories are crossing over is because of one guy, Timothy Munson, who plays not only Carlton Lassiter in Psych, but he also plays the main villain in Luck of the Irish. So yes, this crossover exists because one actor plays a character in both these movies. Nice. So, what is the plot of this story? Well, the plot starts with a Irish festival. And Carlton, and everyone's trying to get Carlton to go, but he's like, I don't want to go. I'm too busy being grumpy and being Carlton. Sean, get back here. I know your line. But they eventually give up. However, while doing his paperwork in the Santa Barbara Police Department, he sees the main character of Luck of the Irish just outside. Apparently, there was like an actual incident that happened at the police department. Not the police department, the festival. And there was some fighting involved, and he kind of gets sucked into it. And he looks at Carlton. It's like, I know who you are. It's like, oh, god damn it. And Carlton just kind of dies. So I was like, oh, I gotta deal with this shit. Okay. Excuse me. And eventually, like, his other friend and the grandpa show up. I actually completely forgot what their names are. So excuse me. And they all accuse him. It's like, wait a minute, you lost the bet. You're supposed to be in the shores of Lake Erie. It's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with the evil stuff anymore. I'd rather just be human. So apparently, Carlton. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, in Luck of the Irish, Seamus goes against Kyle in a series of challenges. With whoever loses gets to basically gets a curse thrown on him by the winner. Kyle eventually wins, and he basically curses Seamus, who becomes Carlton in the story, to eventually go to and stay on the shores of Lake Erie. So honestly, Seamus like at first is like, that's not so bad. And he's like, no, I'm an American. I have a different Lake Erie, and he gets thrown off the shores of Wisconsin into Lake Erie. And we got a cute little. So, and what happened is, Seamus gets help from another evil leprechaun who kind of knows Seamus, and basically formulates a plot to basically try and say like, oh, if I help you get out of Lake Erie, you owe me a favor in the future. Carlton kind of says yes, and so he switches a young Carlton's life with him, because it's like, okay, so he takes the real Carlton Lasseter, gives him to the leprechaun. We actually see the actual Carlton at the end of the story, and Carlton Seamus becomes Carlton, and Carlton does not want to be an evil leprechaun anymore. He likes being a cop. He likes dealing with Sean Spencer. He likes doing all this shenanigans is like because he finds that it gives him purpose. It gives him like actual happiness. So when the evil leprechaun comes to repay it, Carlton's is actually really hesitant to go through with it. It's like, I want to become king, basically bridge the leprechaun worlds and this world. And I'm going to take over the human world. You're going to take over the leprechaun world. Okay? And Carlton's like really, really hesitating. He's like, let me think about it. We get a little background with like Sean following Carlton's, like because he thinks that, well, not Carlton, but the boys, because he thinks they're like schizophrenic and stuff like that. It's a really neat crossover. It does eventually come that like the evil leprechaun, whose name I'm honestly forgetting, is using the festival as a backdrop to kind of to force the issue onto Carlton. So like I have O'Hara, I have your partner O'Hara, I have their girl. If you don't if you don't help me crown this and get your powers back, I'm gonna kill him. And we even get like I'm not talking about this when I talk about my favorite moment. And eventually Sean basically finds out about Carlton being a leprechaun and all that, and he's like, I want to help because like you're still Lassie to me. And maybe like the characters from Look at the Irish, they're like kind of pity, they kind of understand that Carlton doesn't, Seamus doesn't want to be evil anymore. So like the story ends with like them doing like a little show, like part of the festival, like Leprechaun go away, Leprechaun go away. They get like the entire crowd to get him away. And he goes like, fine, you want me to go away? I'll go away. And he disappears. And they kind of forgive Seamus for what he did, because it's like you spent like all this time turning over a new leaf, getting your own life. We can learn to forgive and forget. Leprechaun way. And they eventually leave Santa Barbara. And basically Lassiter also tells Sean, it's like, you don't mention this to anyone. Gotcha. Don't mess with that one. So this is more or less the plot. It's a very silly, nonsensical plot. I like it. I think doing a crossover and having it be based around the fact that one actor plays a character in both properties, and then using that as the central plot point is actually really genius. And I actually like the characters. There's not a lot of character development because of the whole fact that it's so short, and two, it exclusively focuses on like more shenanigans involving Sean thinking that the boys are schizo and need mental help. We do get something character development like Carlton actually being like remorseful over his actions of being an evil leprechaun, trying to get all the Irish gold, and there's even like a little cool moment at the end. Like I said, I'll talk about it in a bit. Outside of that, there's not really any character development. Grimmer, you see this? You see this shit? I don't know if this was a formatting error, but holy shit! I actually never seen this in a fan fiction before. This is like the only fan fiction I've ever seen this issue, and this is like the only problem with the story. I don't know what's going on. I find it funny, but this is like the fact that like I don't know if he did like 2 commas and then the quotation mark. I don't know. It's so dumb and quirky that I love it. Pacing, it's very fast paced. It makes sense because it's a very short story. It's only like close to 2,100 words. It is, but it packs a lot of content in those 2,100 words that even if there's not a lot of character development, it makes up for the fact that it's keeping spirit to not only Psych but Luck of the Irish. Like the Irish is like, I think like from that era of the Disney Channel, it was like the best Disney Channel original movie. It's a good movie. I like it. I would actually recommend if you ever find it, go watch it. Pretty fun. it zoomed by pretty fast, but it doesn't drag it unnecessarily doesn't drag itself too long. I think it's the perfect length and the perfect pacing of the story that I don't have anything problem with that. So what would I recommend this story? Honestly, I would recommend this story. It's such a neat, tiny, compact story that has a lot of personality attached to it. Especially like I said, with the whole idea, like the entire plot is based around the fact of one actor is two characters. I don't really have anything bad to say. My favorite part. Okay, here's the part. So the villain, when he forces Lasser to go through with the crowning, he basically tells the old Kyle's grandfather, saying that I will kill myself before I let him win. And we actually get a really cool moment where like they're doing the ceremony, and the grandfather is actually getting the crown and getting ready to put it on Lasseter, and he watches Lasseter slowly pull out a pistol and just point it right underneath his chin, ready to fire, saying, "I'm not gonna let him win." It was such a cool moment that also meant a lot because like the grandfather was like the only one willing to forgive him at first, and seeing Carlton literally about to kill himself to make sure the bad guy doesn't win is such a really impactful moment, and it's honestly pretty badass for Carlton. Come on, every Psych was awesome. I like Carlton. I like Gus. I like Sean. It's a really entertaining story. What would I fix? Fix these. You know what? Better yet, don't fix these. These are hilarious. Keep it. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this story. So we're going to move on to the next story. The Seven-Colored Puppeteer and the Land of Fire. It is a Naruto and Toho crossover. So what's this story about? Well, this story is centered around a character named Alice Murgatroyd, or Matrogold, however that's how like my mind pronounces it. She's just doing nothing of sorts at first, and then she gets end up in the land in outside of Konoha. She basically wanders into Konoha. She's like, "Oh, well, I gotta figure out how to get home. They're probably Yukari or like Marissa or Remo are gonna save me." It's like so she basically starts trying to figure out a way to just pass the time. She gets her little puppets headed by Shanghai to build herself a little clone of her house, but she doesn't have any materials. So she also front loads it with a little puppet shop. Eventually, she actually meets Naruto, and Alice is like completely ambivalent. This is actually gonna be important. The ambivalence. Eventually befriends Naruto and actually teaches him how to play Danmaku. However, since Naruto is a ninja and doesn't have magic reserves, he doesn't know how Danmaku works. So a big part of the story is just Alice teaching him how to Danmaku and all that, and Naruto trying to learn the skills and all that. And even as a friendship, Alice gives Naruto one of her puppets. Like, here, you can name this puppet. I will name you Sakura. It's like, yes, you will. However, eventually, Naruto gets bullied by a ninja who basically breaks Sakura. Alice has a really cool moment where she uses you know what? That's actually my favorite part. I'm actually gonna save that for at the end. She basically punishes the guy, and this actually finds its path to the Hokage, the Sarutobi. The Hokage basically gets an Anbu to bring Alice to him. Alice, tries to be polite. It's like, you're an evil ninja. There's nothing about you in the bingo books. Are you? What land are you at? It's like, huh? And Alice was like completely confused because like she thought she was just asking him. It's like, hey, how you doing? I'm Alice. And we get a neat little moment where like all Anbu start attacking Alice, and she like dodges everything, and she actually forcibly breaks open a chakra force window by just sheer power and flies out. And we get, and then she eventually finds her way to the forest, makes another. makes another house while also making a new doll to try and get her back home. Naruto finds out. Naruto gets bullied, and it ends with like Naruto going to the land of the waves. The whole thing with Zabuza and Haku. When Naruto comes back, he's kind of ungrateful the fact that they just completely ignored him. It's like not even like a thank you. Like I understand like not doing like this big celebration, but like I didn't even get a thank you from people here. And Alice literally offers Naruto, it's like, you want to come with me to Jinsokyo? And Naruto's like, all right, I'll come. And the story ends with Kakashi finding the house because the Hokage put her in the Bingo book as like an S rank mission that only Kakashi can really handle. And then he senses that Naruto was there, and now they just disappeared. It's like, well, now we gotta tell the Hokage something. And that's more or less the plot. There's a lot of technical details, like the whole like Alice being, but that's a lot of that is mostly hidden behind Alice's character. So characters, Alice. This is the big one. Throughout the entire story, there is a sense of ambivalence in the writing and the character because the story, for the most part, takes place from the point of view of Alice. Alice is very much a recluse, sort of. She does get involved. She does go to like the shrine shows for Rimu, and she does like little puppet shows for them. But for the most part, she prefers to be by herself with her dolls. She's very creepy that way. So there is a general sense of ambivalence. Like anything that happens to Alice, she, instead of like reacting like anything, she just reacts with like nonchalant because she's from Gensokyo. It's like we have characters that can literally just blow up meteors casually just by closing her hands. Flandre. You have Yukari who can literally open up gaps in reality. You have Otusho Ryuji who literally controls nuclear fission, and a lot of other uber powerful stuff. So it's like a lot of stuff what they do. She's like, eh. And this also comes down to like how she reacts to when she's actually getting attacked by the Anmu. Whereas like instead of like freaking out, she just basically just looks over. She realizes that she's being attacked and just dodges, and she's like, "Well, they're attacking me. That means I have to fight back." And she uses one of her spell cards. And you get a little moment where they actually make contact with the Anmu. They're freaking out. They like think they're about to be hurt. It lands on them. She like actually holds back because she's still abiding by the rules of Gensokyo with bullet hells. If you make contact with the opponent, you gotta stop the attack immediately to kind of let them go. And then Alice quickly realizes that they're not gonna obey the rules because she's so used to how Gensokyo operates that even because of her reclusiveness that she doesn't know that these people are not gonna operate under the same rules that she has. So it's a neat little moment. Like I said, a large part of the story is mainly just Alice teaching Naruto how to do Danmaku. Like we get a little moment where she's like teaching him, and she's like, "Oh, she's backing up against the wall. That's not really good because it's like now it's like, oh, he's not taking advantage of the topography. Like you can go anywhere else." And Alice basically just walks near him. It's like, "Hey, wait a minute, you're going on my side." It's like, says, "What did I say? We have sides." And Naruto's like, "Oh, oh." And we get like little growth with like Naruto actually starting to use rocks. Like he was originally using Shanghai and Horai to basically ask the fire at Alice while she's calmly dodging. And she even yells at Naruto when he fills up a rock with a scroll with rocks using Fuin Jutsu to basically make it to basically make like his own custom spell card. And she yells at him, it's like the whole point of Danmaku of spell cards is you're supposed to be able to dodge him. It's just, can you dodge him? And she kind of yells at him, it's like, you made something undodgeable. It's like, isn't the point that you're supposed to win? It's like, no, the point is no, the point is you're supposed to make something beautiful, something artful. This is art. And we get like neat little moments where it's just Naruto just hanging out with Alice. Like there's lots of character development parts where like in the store people are complaining about like people constantly accusing Alice of being a ninja. So she puts like all these signs for the dolls to operate while she's doing her research to get back home, and they got and like the dolls keep hammering the sign that says Alice is not a ninja to the point where the word "not" is faded. It's like no dangerous puppets, no human-sized puppets, and all this. And we even get like a little moment where like Kyuubi's like, "Oh, I'm more powerful." Like where Naruto tells Alice, like, "Oh yeah, the thing inside me is like more powerful than you are." It's like, okay, he's more powerful. Let him have that. I don't care. This actually reminds me of there's actually a big comment review in this story that is humongously long, and and more or less boils down to the fact that this story didn't have a conflict, therefore it is bad. Alice is not wrapping herself up with the events of Naruto. Alice is like just not caring about everything going around her. But that's the whole point. There's not every story needs to have this big old conflict, because what is the conflict of the story? Alice wants to go home. There's your conflict. It's not a big thing. It's just very simple. Alice doesn't react to anything because she's seen it all. Like nothing in the Naruto as she saw it could really phase her because she's seen much worse. If you saw someone like Madara or Kaguya, maybe she might react, but having like neighbors ignore her is like it's like nothing. Having befriending Naruto, it's like nothing to her. It's because she's gonna outlive all these people. She's a magician. They're a type of yokai in Gensokyo. Their whole thing is they basically live long, and she just has her doll. She doesn't care. Naruto is very calm. He's basically, he acts like Naruto, but he gets like a calm temperament by hanging out with Alice because he learned how to Danmaku. He realizes that this is a lot of fun because it's just he sees it as a game. That's what Danmaku for the most part is. He starts playing with he has two dolls. He has Sakura and he has Hokage. And there's also there's a whole possibility of him hanging out against Sokyo and all that. It's really cool. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay. Grammar wise, the grammar is perfect. Pacing wise, this is a perfectly paced story. It's slower paced than Bad Luck, but it also makes a lot of sense because if the slower pace fits Alice's character, she's very much a more slower actiony character. She's only involved in 2 games in the canon. 3, I think 3 if you count Immaterial and Missing Power. But she's not really that involved. She's a very reclusive character, so it makes a lot of sense that a large portion of the story just kind of blends together in months and months apart, where it's just her trying to figure out how things go, and her whole plan revolves around actually selling the dolls so she can actually track them and then use that to try and triangulate information of where the rest of the dolls are so she can get back to Gensokyo. I do like the story. I think from what I recommend it, I actually would recommend it. Because even, you don't need information on Gensokyo or Naruto. Because on the Naruto side, this happens at the beginning of Naruto. So she's Naruto hasn't even graduated, hasn't become a genin yet. So you don't need to know anything about Naruto. You don't need to know anything about Toho because the story kind of tells you all you need to know specifically about Alice. Favorite part is when she uses the dolls to torture. So, for context, the part where Naruto gets bullied and the bullies, they have Sakura, and they basically damage Sakura. They basically destroy her clothes. They rip up her hair, and she pulls off an arm. And we get a really, really cool moment where Alice walks outside. She sees the bullies. She sees that he has Sakura, and she gets mad, but she doesn't want to do anything torturous because she's still abiding by the rules of Gensokyo. So she's like, I can't kill this boy, so I'm basically gonna scare him. So she basically commands all her dolls to slowly walk around the perimeter of the bullies, and she deliberately makes them make noise, so that way they can see the dolls are slowly surrounding her. And everyone except for the guy holding the doll is like, starting to freak out. It's like, these things are surrounding. It's like, nah, nothing bad. Nothing bad's about to happen. It's like you're gonna wish you regret saying that. And she has all the dolls start the bum rush. She deliberately ignores most of the balloons except for the guy who has the dolls. So she basically has all the dolls jump on him, drag him to the ground with all sorts of manners. Then she starts talking to Sakura, and she basically uses her magic to manipulate Sakura to basically look like that Sakura's like struggling to stand, like she's hurt, and she's like, and she's like doing this under the guise of showmanship. It's like I'm just gonna tear apart the boy, and so she starts talking to Sakura. It's like, what did this boy do to you? And Sakura points to her hair, signifying the hair that she stripped. Like, she ripped her hair, right? So she basically has a doll pull out a knife and basically cut a bunch of his hair off by making it look like he was about to stab him. It's like, okay, now his hair's ruined like you. What else did he do to you? And basically has Sakura point to her missing arm. And she's like, okay. So what she does is she has the dolls manipulate his arm to stretch. And she has the same doll with the knife basically line up the knife with his shoulder blade, lifts it up, and right about to cut it, but then Sakura gets in the way. It's like, no, forgive and forget. And he was like, all right, he probably learned his lesson. And all of those let go of him, and he just freaks out and runs away. It's really cutesy. I really like that moment. It's a really cool moment because it perfectly epitomizes what Alice Murgatroyd is about as a character. Very, very passionate about puppets because her whole thing is she wants to make a fully sentient puppet. Shanghai and Hora are somewhat sentient, but she hasn't gained the full sentience yet. It's a really hilariously dark moment. What would I change? Honestly, I wouldn't change anything about this. At best, the fact that this story ends on a cliffhanger with Naruto going to get Sokyo and Kakashi going to warn and basically telling the Hokage. There's a lot you could do with this, with like a follow up. I honestly think there should be a sequel. I don't like the idea of sequels in fan fiction, but this story, how it's written, how it's presented, really needs a sequel. It's like the Hokage gets like himself, Kakashi, and like a couple others. Let's have a little fun with it. Let's have one of be Sasori in disguise. They somehow get to Gensokyo. How? I don't know. So just some bullshit way. Maybe the portal still kind of has like a gap open, so someone like really powerful can rip it open again. From the Toho side, the story it probably keep itself in the bamboo forest, though not the bamboo forest. The magical forest like around where Alice lives. So at the very least, there wouldn't be a lot of Toho characters to be involved in. Alice, Marissa, maybe Medicine Melancholy, maybe Ryson, because I think the lore dictates like most of Iron's medicine ingredients comes from that forest. So you can kind of have Ryson and Iron kind of show up there. But for the most part, it'd probably be Medicine, Alice, and Marissa. Those will probably be like the main Toho characters. You have a thing where like Marissa joins in teaching Naruto how to do Namaku. Basically, they goof off. You can even do a silly romance thing between Naruto and Marissa if you want. There's a lot you could do. Granted, the whole endpoint would probably be Alice versus Sasori because the whole puppetry thing, like the whole reason I could think of why Sasori would be there is because Alice does puppetry. Sasori is a evil ninja, very obsessed with puppetry. So it's like he wants to see what he's up to, and he's like maybe get Alice as a puppet. It'd be a neat little moment. I don't really have anything else to say because there's so much you can do with this. So yeah, that is these two stories: Bad Luck of the Irish and Seven Color Puppeteer in the Land of Fires. I like both. I think both are great stories. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and